Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight for our Oils and Emotions class. My name is Joyce Obazinski, and even though it says JMac up there, that's my, my oil name. But I am
She's an
Hannah.
oil rapper.
I'm Hannah's aunt, and I got started with Young Living back in November of 2017 when she asked me if I would help her get, help with her business and everything. So when I started, I didn't really think I would be where I'm at. I just thought I'd get the kit, kind of play around with some oils, but here I am today. And I'm going to be teaching with Peggy Payne. She's to my left. I don't know where she is for you guys, but that's where she is. And we're going to be talking about, your emotions and oils. So you can either raise your hand, or at the bottom of your screen, you'll see some little reactions. I'm just going to ask you some questions. Has anyone ever dealt with sadness, loss, depression? It can be minor, major, death, emotional eating, frustration, anger, impatience. Just sometimes life gets out of control. Maybe you're just having issues dealing with COVID-19, or just any other kind of emotion. So if you've had anything like that, then this class is definitely for you. And like I said, welcome, and I'm going to hand it off to Peggy.
We're here tonight because of all those things and more that Joyce was just talking about. And for me, I've been with Young Living since about 2016, but I really didn't get going in it till about 2017. So we're all, Joyce and I are about the same timing and all of that. But for me, I really began to seek out some answers for emotional issues, and it came through realizing that I was avoiding it. Not really intentionally, but just kind of dragging my feet about it. And I guess I thought I could just handle it on my own, or should be able to handle it on my own. But I sought out godly counseling, and then I thought, I have these resources available, and some of the oils even have blends that are names that I thought that kind of seems to fit, like what might help out, like joy, for instance, being one. And I had heard about Valor at that point. So we just need to be able to just understand and realize that all of us are emotional people. And we have a tendency to think that women are emotional, but men and women are emotional as well. And they're a part of who we are. And our main thing is that we need to learn how to express those emotions in healthy ways, because there aren't good or bad emotions, but that there are ways that we can express them in bad ways. And one of the ways, and some of the people on here laugh at me when I do this, but anyway, I'm going to use an illustration of a balloon. So just give me a second. If we look at this balloon, the function of this balloon, it's made to have air put inside, is some form of air put inside. This is a healthy margin. It's not going to explode. I didn't overdo it. I could tie this and we could, bounce it around the room and have a good time with it. But there are ways that I could release the air, various ways I could release the air from this. And those could be, for instance, that is a very annoying sound, is it not? Okay, that's one way. Another is that I could blow it up to where it would burst and make a really loud noise. Or another way is I can just let it go and it makes a minor noise, but then it just kind of runs off and hides. Okay, so the illustration there is these are ways that we can also release our emotions, and there's only one of those that would be considered a healthy way. And that is, if I blew it up a little bit too much, I just let out a little bit of air to get it back to that healthy margin, or just blow it up to the point where it's not going to burst. And in our lives, some people kind of give themselves the allowance to have those angry outbursts, or to do that squealing sound to where it's irritating to everyone. It might make them feel better, or they blow everything off and they run and hide. And those aren't healthy ways. So in this class, we're going to try to figure out how to recognize our emotions, realize the truth of what they're saying to us, because they're trying to tell us something, or maybe what they're not saying, and then how we are to respond in a healthy way that honors the people around us, because that's our goal. So I'm going to turn it over to Joyce, and she's going to talk about another aspect.
So emotional health is a vital component to your total health. And parts of your whole health are your emotional, your physical, and your spiritual. And all three of these, like I said, make the total health. And they're all connected. Each is impacted by the other. The three make up like the links in a chain. You need them all to be working equally. If the weakest link would be the thing that that you may be struggling with the most. And if you think about it like a tripod has three legs. All three legs have to be equal in length, to keep you flat and where you need to be. If one of those legs gets shorter or tilts, then you're off kilter. Maybe your physical health you're struggling. Well, that can affect your emotional health, which then can affect your spiritual health, and then everything is all out of whack. And so, like today, we're just talking about that one aspect, which would be the emotional health. And again, all three of them are connected. You just want to make sure that all three are good. So now I'm going to turn it over to Peggy.
Okay, and as Joyce was saying, that each one of us are made up of all three of those aspects. And like I was saying a minute ago, I was doing really well starting to look at my physical issues. And I've always been really good about doing Bible study and journaling and things, and meditation and things like that, prayer. And that's the spiritual aspect, but I was neglecting the emotional. And that was my weakest link. And that's the tripod leg that I'm going to fall over from. But there are no good emotions or bad emotions. And this is something else that we really need to recognize, because we have a tendency to put things into those two categories. Like we would normally categorize anger as a bad thing, but sometimes anger is what it should be. What we do with it might be a completely different thing that's bad. So we need to be able to recognize, and there's another word picture. This is the thermostat. I actually have battery operated thermostat, so I can take this off my wall. If you think about the difference in a thermometer and a thermostat, a thermometer is one that actually just reads the environment. If you have a thermometer, you put it in your mouth, or you have the thermometer that's on my thermostat, it's actually just telling me what the actual temperature, this is the setting, and the actual temperature in this room is 76. I've got it set at 74. Okay, this is the thermostat function. This is the thermometer function. The thermostat actually controls the temperature in the room. And our emotions are the thermometer. And that's the way we need to look at them. They are just a tool, a instrument in an essence, that helps us know what is actually going on in our bodies and in our environments. So feeling an emotion is not a bad thing. We just need to realize and understand how to express them in healthy ways. And we can, by feeling them, we can allow our bodies and our hearts to be that thermometer. And one of the things we tend to do is we tend to avoid pain, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, or even spiritual pain, because I've been in situations that weren't great and that was a spiritual environment. But pain is not our enemy. Pain is something that's actually causing us maybe to draw back from something. If we didn't, like if our hand touches that iron or that stovetop and we do not pull away because of the pain, we will literally destroy the skin. We'll get to the point where it's burned beyond recognition. And it's the same way with our emotional pain. We need to be able to feel it and let it tell us what's going on, and maybe it's going to reveal something about our soul, which is our being, our personage. But so we don't really want to avoid it necessarily, but that doesn't mean we just like stay there. It might be something that causes us to draw back. Now, Joyce is going to talk to us about the checklist.
Okay, so the checklist. We're always so quick to react when things go wrong, or they're not going the way we want them to with our emotions. We jump to conclusions or whatever, and we get ourselves upset. So there's a checklist you can do. You can do it as a mental checklist. You can write it down, or you could have triggers like your diffuser necklace or bracelet, that when you start to feel like that, that triggers you, hey, let me do these 3 steps. And it's easy as 1, 2, 3. First would be to recognize the emotion you're experiencing. What's going on? How are you feeling? Why are you feeling that way? Realize what your emotions are telling you without reacting to them, and then respond, not react in a healthy way. Life happens, something happens that, and when it happens, the data enters the brain, the spinal cord. The experience is felt in the limbic system. And then you have 2 options. You either react in a healthy way through your neocortex or frontal lobe. And by reacting in a healthy way, that's where you recognize it, realize what it says, and you respond. And that's what you want to try to do. So, like I said, have something that helps you stop and think and do it that way instead of just, a knee-jerk reaction where you just respond like I did yesterday. Or again, the unhealthy way would be to react from raw emotion. And, that's not good. I did it yesterday with someone on the phone, and afterwards I felt really horrible, but then I really didn't care, and then I felt horrible again. And so, just like I said, just either have those written down, have it just memorized, or have, like I said, have something that triggers you to say, hey, you know what, sniff your oils, whatever, calm down. You could even count 1, 2, 3, and then say those 3 things. Let me recognize my emotions. What are they trying to tell me? Let me react this way. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Peggy.
I'm gonna get a little bit geeky science on you. Joyce has already mentioned that pathway. The whatever the event it happens, it actually hits your spinal cord and then goes to your limbic region. So let's talk about the limbic system of your brain, because that's in your brain. It's the seat of emotions. It is the emotional command center, is what we want to one way we want to look at it. The amygdala gland in the limbic system is where we store and release trauma in the body, and it does not respond to any one of our senses except for smell. It doesn't respond to sight. It doesn't respond to sound. It doesn't respond to taste or touch. It only responds to the sense of smell. And guess where it's located? This part of the sensing is right here at the top of your nose. Duh. So it's nicely located. Have you noticed that during the quarantine that we probably, somebody said the other day, the quarantine 15, but it's like, no, it's really like the quarantine 19 pounds that we pretty much have all put on because we're baking more. We actually respond to that smell. We respond to baking cookies, respond to baking cake, or just even if it's the meal you're making, you respond to those things, and it kind of satisfies something within you. Also, we associate those smells. For years, I could smell Jergens lotion, and that just took me right to my grandmother. Or I had another grandmother that wore Chanel No. 5. Anytime I smelled that, and I couldn't tell you right now what that smelled like, but if I smelled it, I would know it, and I'd think of my grandmother. Maybe it's that certain pie or cake on a holiday, birthday cake or whatever else. Those kinds of things all affect our limbic region, and therefore it's part of our memories and our storing, but it also can be a tool that helps us be able to release emotions in a positive way. Like if we have had a negative experience, we can use an oil and a smell and a process to help us release those things. There is something called sesquiterpenes, and they're found in high levels in essential oils such as frankincense and sandalwood. And here's the amazing thing. By using like frankincense and sandalwood high in sesquiterpenes, it increases the oxygen in the limbic region of the system of the brain, and it unlocks the DNA and allows emotional baggage to be released from cellular memory. Wow. I remember when I read that, I just thought that is incredible to think about. Emotions themselves are stored in our bodies, in our organs, and glands and systems. Those organs each have their own individual frequency, and emotions have their own frequency. So for instance, anger has the same frequency as our liver. So guess where anger is stored? It's stored in our liver. Our liver is one of our most important filtration organs. So if we're storing anger there, that's not a good thing. And so we're going to have to find a way to be able to get rid of those. And frequency comes into play because our body's normal frequency is between 62 and 68. Now, this is measurable. This is not hokey weird stuff. I mean, the Eye of Newt has still not been found. I'm not a witch yet. So our frequency is between 62 and 68 megahertz. Disease begins to occur when we get to 58. That's not that much lower than normal. And cancer can begin when we get to the 42 megahertz point. So essential oils can play a role because we can actually smell and apply essential oils, and they can help raise our frequency. If we keep our frequency up, then we also can hopefully not get our systems into a place where disease begins to occur. So do you see how emotions, smells, and physical all play a part and work together, as Joyce told us earlier, with that three aspects of our being. So those frequencies are really important. So for instance, frankincense has a frequency of 147 megahertz. And remember, our body is 62 to 68. So that's definitely going to increase our frequency. Peppermint is 78. So that would be good. Processed and canned foods only have zero megahertz. So they're not helping us from a physical to an emotional way. Fresh foods have between 20 and 27. Fresh herbs fall in that category. Dried herbs are about half of that. So, but our oils some of them have really high frequencies, and we have charts. Like rose is one of the highest ones. Frankincense is really high. I've already mentioned that. So when we identify our emotions and our emotional patterns, and we can choose a corresponding oil. I have a book that is just a good tool. It's called Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. And there are charts in here that can kind of marry up the emotion you're feeling or the emotion you want to feel with an oil and a process. So it's a really helpful tool. And as we do this and we're going about our day and we're doing the 3 R's that Joyce was talking about, the recognize, realize, and respond, you can just like maybe go to a quiet place if you have the time to do this. And like if you can leave that stressful scene, if you can, and give yourself those way out statements where it is just an affirmation or shifting from the negative into a positive. Sophie and Hannah did a really good job a few weeks ago talking to us about mindset, and it fell in with this, where instead of saying I can't do this or that, we would say I'm capable of it. I might not be doing a really good job right now, but I'm capable of it. Go grab an oil, grab believe, and tell yourself you can do this. But the literal pattern for using oils would be to take an oil and drop it into your non-dominant hand. In my case, that's my left hand. And then I would stir these with my fingers 3 times clockwise to just kind of activate the oil. And then I can directly inhale it. I can apply it on a particular part of my body. I didn't even figure out which one. That one's Harmony. And it made me feel good immediately. But that is, or you can put them on the alarm points in your body. And there, again, in this book, there's charts for that. But your emotional points are right here on your forehead. You could put it there. Your release points are like at the back of your neck. Think about how we carry stress. Women carry it here. Those would be release points. If you have any leftover, just put it at the spinal cord or the base of your skull for that release point. Now, Joyce is going to talk to us a little bit about some of the oils. I mean, this is barely going to be a drop in the bucket. She's going to talk to us about some of the oils that we could use to support the limbic system.
Okay, so like Peggy said, some oils for the limbic system. For anger, lavender, bergamot, frankincense, lemon, or cedarwood. And you'll see lavender a lot because I always call it the grandmother of all oils. That's like your old grandma that had a cure for everything. You stub your toe, put some lavender on it. You bumped your head, you put some lavender on it. Your boyfriend broke up with you, here, have some lavender. So you'll see that a lot. Fear, you could use juniper, cypress, orange, or Roman chamomile. Sadness would be geranium, orange, or lemon. Agitation, I might need some of this, would be lavender, copaiba, ylang ylang, bergamot, and frankincense. I feel like frankincense might be one of those oils like lavender as well. And then focus, which I definitely need focus. Vetiver, spruce, frankincense, rosemary, sandalwood, and cedarwood. And I'm surprised lavender's not under focus, but anyway. So, I mean, and like Peggy said, this is not a complete list. And, you know, you can try one of these and it may not work for you, you know, like it may work for somebody else. Everybody's different. And I've actually had two people tell me this. One's on the call now, that if you go to use an oil and you don't like the smell of it, that whatever that oil is for or whatever properties it has, you probably really need to use that oil because your body needs something in that oil. Hannah. So, you know, and everybody's different. So, like I said, not, you know, an oil that I use that might help me because I'm sad or struggling with something may not work for you. You just got to figure out what oils work for you. So, you're probably thinking, how do I get my hands on these emotional hippy dippy oils? Well, if you're not a member with Young Living yet, there are a few ways you could get started. Now, I definitely talked to the person that invited you, but some of the ways you could do it, you could get the basic kit, you know, and customize it with some oil products and maybe a diffuser. Or you could get, you know, like the Welcome Home kit, which comes with, sorry, and add a diffuser to that. And the Welcome Home kit, you know, has frankincense, lavender, again, lavender. Got to have that lavender, peppermint, which is one of my favorite oils, Valor, which I just started using that, grapefruit, lemon, lime, tangerine. It comes a really cute little wooden Vitality oil rack that you could have in your kitchen because, you know, the Vitality oils are the ones with the white labels and you can cook with those. And then it also comes with a Young Living lifestyle booklet. So, you know, they're really good deals. And like I said, talk to whoever invited you about how to get started with that. Now, I'm going to pass it back to Peggy.
Those are two really great ways because the basic kit, obviously, as she was saying, you customize it. The Welcome Home kit is already set up. You might want to add a diffuser to it because it doesn't come with a diffuser, but it has a better price point than a cheaper price point. We also have the PSK. And all of us that got started probably may have started with this. We may have started with one of the other kit, but this is the one that has 12. And one of the reasons that the Welcome Home kit or the Premium Starter kit are really good is a lot of the oils that Joyce was talking about in that short list that wasn't even complete are in these kits, like frankincense and all of the citrus oils, lemon, lime, tangerine, that are in the Welcome Home kit. And there's lemon and lavender and peppermint, and those there's stress away in this kit, as well as peace and calming. Obviously, the names of those tell you right there, those are emotional support oils. But Valor is an excellent emotional support oil as well. But really, so many. Citrus Fresh is also in this, so that's another citrus. Those are very uplifting oils. We also have beyond, those are the membership kits. Those are the ways to come in. But we have within Young Living, we have the Feelings kit, and it has forgiveness, harmony, inner child, present time, release, valor, and release and valor. And then I was going to say caution because it has caution right there. Sorry, doesn't have that oil. But this actually has a protocol that goes with it, and it's a really good one for emotional support. We also don't always have these available, but when they do come available, the Freedom Release and the Freedom Sleep kits have divine release, freedom, joy, transformation, TR care in this one, and aroma sleep, freedom, inner harmony, and valor in this one. And there's a 30-day protocol for one, and then a 30-day protocol for the other. So that's like 60 full days. And I know Sophie got those when they came out this last time, and used them with herself and her foster daughter. And it made a great difference in the transition and dealing with things in their lives. So these are all just ways. This was a run through really fast to basically just kind of give you an idea of what our bodies are like, why we should use oils or how we can use them, because that sense of smell with the limbic region is huge. And here we have these oils that smell so good, but also physically can impact us. And like we said before, our physical, our spiritual, and our emotional are all tied together. You can't separate them out completely. If I'm tired, I don't, my mood can be off, or it's harder for me to deal with things. If I'm hungry, anybody that knows me, if I get hungry, I can get cranky. Think about a baby. Anytime they're crying, it's because they haven't got enough sleep, their diaper needs to be changed, or their tummy needs to be filled. And they express it with emotions so that we know. So we're going to open it up now for any questions that you might have. And we ran through some things pretty quickly. We could just let you know, I wasn't watching the chat, so I assume others were. Yeah, the foster care system can make you lose your mind. So does anybody have any particular questions?
One thing I was going to add is the emotion side of essential oils, like how are helping with your emotions, was definitely the one area I was like, yeah, okay, about in the beginning. And so for me, it really started changing when like one or two oils that I was willing to give a chance, like Stress Away, things like that, started helping a little bit. So I just kind of kept dipping my toe in, easing into it, seeing what I liked. And I can't stress this enough. Like, an oil might be amazing for me and you hate it, or it just doesn't do what like I say it does for me. Everybody's body is different. And so one of the best things about what Joyce and my mom did tonight was they gave like a plethora of oil options. So you can kind of play around with it, see what works for you. Maybe when you're really angry, you need to smell citrusy, smells, because that will get you happy again. Maybe it's flowery, maybe it's woodsy, you just kind of need to figure that out for yourself. So consider this like a journey, where there's not really an end to it, where you're just constantly learning about what your body responds well to.
And I wanted to point out, Hannah, I'd like you to just maybe talk about this, because today Hannah did in her story on Facebook about the Great Day Protocol that's from Gary Young himself. And it has 4 oils. I've got them here, so you can talk about them and I'll display them.
Yeah, so I do this every morning. I actually got started with oils 5 years ago for emotions because I have really bad anxiety. It's actually really good now because I use essential oils, amongst a lot of other things like they were talking about. We have to look at ourselves as a whole person, and gut health is a really important thing for emotions. There's just so many things, getting good sleep. But essential oils were what kind of started me helping my emotions. And so these are four oils I use every single day. The first one in this protocol, it's 4 oils, use them in different spots on your body, and you're going to use them kind of with affirmations. And there are certain ones that they suggest, but you can kind of write your own. So Valor, Peggy was holding that one up. And that's one that you drop on your left wrist. You hold your wrists together. I always stop and I'll breathe them in between. So with Valor, which is one of my like all-time favorite oils, I have it on my bedside table. If I wake up feeling anxious, it's like the first thing I want to huff. But I'll put that on my wrist and I'll just think to myself, what is going to make today a great day? I'm going to make this a great day. I'm excited for whatever. So then I'll do, the next one is joy. So joy is, and which I did not like the smell of joy in the beginning, which meant that I really needed some joy. But that's an oil that you're going to put it over your heart. And once again, you're going to breathe it in. And I always use that one as a way to start talking about the things that I'm grateful for. I also have a gratitude journal, but when I'm doing this protocol, I'll start thinking about what are the things I have to be grateful for today. After that is harmony. Harmony, you're going to apply over your navel. If you're into chakras, this one, I can't remember what the chakra is called because I don't, but it has to do with that. And Harmony, when you apply that oil and breathe it in, I always tell myself, like, everything is going to work out. Everything about my day is going to go as is planned. Like, I'm in harmony with what is the plan for my life, my destiny, whatever kind of lingo you want to use based on, you know, what you believe. And so then after that one, the last oil is white angelica. And white angelica is based on the frequency in the blends. And these oils, the reason why they work the way they do, the blends, is because they were specifically made to be at a certain frequency. They were specifically made to have that. When you smell them, they make you feel a certain way. White angelica, that oil is a negative energy shield. So like, it's going to keep all the junk out. And if you're like an empath, like I am, and you know, you talk to somebody who's really negative on a given day and like you just suck that in and it like ruins your day, you need this oil because it's going to help you out a ton. So white angelica, you take it and you literally like cover. And I'll go all the way down. I'll go my head, my shoulders, all the way down, like head, shoulders, knees, and toes. I'll do the whole, you know, thing. And I'll tell myself, nothing is going to get to me today. I'm not going to take anybody's crap today. None of that. And I'm not going to let little dumb things get to me because it's going to be a great day. And that's how I end it. And it always like helps just set my day up well and set my mood well from the beginning. So I recommend those oils for sure.
This was the first protocol that I had ever heard of. And when I say protocol, it means that there's like a pattern to it and you can make it your own, but this was one that Gary Young came up with. And so this was the pattern, just like Hannah said, that's exactly the way I apply the oils. And when I do, a lot of times, I mean, every time I do joy, I start singing the song, I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Or whenever I put harmony on and I'm rubbing it on my stomach, I think that, you know, as much as is possible with me, live at peace with all men. So scripture will come to mind. The full armor of God from Ephesians 6 always comes to mind because you're literally supposed to be like imagining putting on Roman armor. And valor, by the way, comes from the idea of the Roman soldiers preparing themselves for battle. So I always think as I'm holding my wrists together, be strong and courageous, like Joshua would say. Be strong and courageous. This is your day. You can do it. You can handle it. And then white angelica, I just think about angels. Just like I've got this guardian angel around me, and then that's biblical. It says it. I don't have to make that up. It's not weird. It might be weird for you, but it's not weird for me. But I love that protocol. And there's others. Like I said, the Feelings Kit has its own protocol. The Freedom Sleep and Freedom Release kits, they tell you like parts of your body to put them on. And I wanted to say one other thing. All of these are blends. And that's a lot, meaning each one of them have multiple oils in them. So I've heard people say, well, why wouldn't you put them in one roller bottle and just use them all together? Well, that's too much. I mean, not like you're really going to be hurt by it, but I don't think you're going to get the impact that you would get from layering them. And you're putting these in different parts of your body gets to actually absorb them. But if you put them all together, I just think that it would just be kind of like an overkill. It would be like just like blasting yourself and it'd be too much. So it's much better to, and plus as you do these different parts, you can go through those affirmations like Hannah was saying, or like I was saying, scripture or songs or the full armor of God or whatever that is your way of doing it. And that can change from day to day. So don't put them all together and just roll them all over the place.
I would say it's the intentionality behind doing it that way. You know, you just roll them on and you don't really have to think about it. I mean, that's great. You're going to get benefits from the oil, but being intentional and taking that 2 minutes, you know, I mean, you can make it last as long as you want doing that protocol, but you know, it doesn't take that long, but just take that time to be very intentional about putting them on your body.
Well, like Sophie was saying earlier, I was there where it was like, this was kind of the hokey part of oils. Like this is I just don't really think I believe in it early on. This is kind of how I felt. But when I started doing this, like Hannah's saying, they just being intentional, doing something. How much better do you feel if you just actually do something about whatever you're dealing with. The whole over-the-counter market is literally about giving a mom peace of mind that she's giving her child something. It may not do anything, but it makes her feel something. Now, I think a lot of them do things, and I think there's validity, but I think there's something empowering about taking these oils and doing something. And I think there's so much more to it, but because I think there's a science behind it as well. But anybody else?
I actually wanted to share about two other oils that, well, one we just talked about, but another one that y'all didn't mention. So y'all talked about how, we're three parts. And so when we're physically not feeling well in our house, there's two oils that we always use for the emotional aspect, because when I feel sick, like I feel down emotionally, which then makes me feel worse. So we always use white angelica because we want to keep the bad vibes out, so that we can, start working on our frequency. And we use that oil. I mean, we use thieves, we use lemon, we use all these immune supporting oils to support our body, but it's just as important to focus on your mood and supporting your mood and your emotions during that time too. And the other oil we use Northern Lights Black Spruce. One, because that's like one of our like all-time favorite oils.
I love it.
Two, because it's so grounding. And three, because it is either the highest frequency oil or like one of the top highest frequency oils. So like you were talking about how when you're sick, your frequency is lower.
Mm-hmm.
Putting that oil on your body, you're helping like boost yourself up. So don't neglect that aspect when you're sick too, is you got to think about how can I support my emotions when I'm not feeling physically my best.
Very, very important. And I'm glad you brought up grounding too, because there's a like a kind of a terminology where it is the idea of literally going outside barefoot and just getting your feet in contact with earth. It can even be the concrete driveway, but just getting in contact. I go barefoot all the time in the house too, and I walk outside barefoot a lot. But there in barefoot gardening, we've talked about that. And if you've seen any of us post, getting your feet in the dirt, there's a lot to it. And it really has to do with grounding. Now, as an electrical engineer, I can tell you that if you're grounded, you're going to be more of a lightning rod. But beyond that, that's the reason you wear rubberized soles, to keep yourself from being grounded. But I always think of the tree oils like Northern Lights Black Spruce, because it literally is rooted in the ground. When you think and really think about all these plants, where do they get their sustenance? From being rooted in the ground. So grounding is a very important thing. And sometimes we just kind of need that just bringing those emotions to a very solid place that we're standing on. So I love Northern Lights Black Spruce. I tell you, that's probably one of my favorites.
I have a former coworker who married a South Korean woman, and he just talked about a lot of kind of the feng shui and things like that. But he also talked about how he was like, we open up every window and every door, like to the outside every day, twice a day. And he was like, middle of January, like doesn't matter. And he's like, because my wife is really big on fresh air coming into your home and getting rid of, just that stale air that just kind of sits there. He was like, sometimes we can feel it weighing down on us. And so I don't keep up with that, but for about a month, it was like March or something, so it'd be like rainy, it'd be cold, it'd be warm, it didn't matter, we would do it like twice a day. I am telling you, that was a game changer. And it's just like, it's little things like that, being grounded, being connected to the outside, getting some sunlight, smelling these essential oils or putting them on, or ingesting them even, that really just kind of helps wake up certain parts of you that can kind of heal maybe from some things and work through from it. Going on a walk, exercising, eating well, getting enough sleep. Like I have commented in the section, holistic wellness, like, oh my gosh, it all plays a part. Just like if you hurt your foot and you had, like for me, I broke my ankle, and when I started walking with the boot, my leg was higher when the boot made it higher, and so after that my hip was out of whack. It just like, we know that all connects, right? Like that makes sense. Well, all of this connects to your emotions, that connect to, you know, your, that might make your hips out of whack, you know, like that kind of stuff. So when we are really in tune to our bodies, we can know, okay, right now I'm feeling this and here's why I'm feeling this. And I know my healthy coping skills to be able to deal with this. And you have that really great arsenal, which is just what I love about this class. Like, here's a massive arsenal of how you can attack, you know, some of these things that are really hitting you hard so that you can feel just your best self. Like, we're not guaranteeing that you're going to be perfect, because you're not, but we are going to help you along to figure out like what works best for you so that you can just put away some of the junk.
Well, and you incorporated a lot of the things that, you know, like the getting outside, the moving your body in some way. That I love having a tracker because it actually rewards me. You moved enough today. Yay! I'm so good. But I also wanted to say, as Sophie was saying, like something getting out of whack. And I mentioned earlier, women in particular have a tendency, we carry our stress in our neck and our shoulders. Ask any physical therapist, ask any massage therapist, ask any chiropractor, anybody that works with that type of physiology, they will tell you we carry our, so if that's true, we're carrying stress there. How is that? Because it's manifesting itself there. We're tense. And if we can do things like use our essential oils to relax those muscles, particularly, like even pan away with some carrier oil, rubbing it on and getting those muscles going, or using our Cool pain relief cream, or using peppermint or wintergreen, any of those. It's just really important to be able to just let those muscles release it and go. So going back just to be reminded, just because I think it kind of maybe have gotten lost in the mix. If you recognize, as Joyce was saying, those 3 R's, you recognize and you are trying to figure out like what to do with these emotions, and then eventually you're going to respond to them well. There's kind of a process, and it can be so simple as just taking an oil like I did earlier and just cupping it over your face. You don't have to necessarily have, hopefully you have a diffuser, but you might not. You might have an inhaler. You might have jewelry, diffuser jewelry, like Joyce was talking about earlier. I have one of those necklaces. I've got what I call liquid calm, and it's a mix of a whole bunch of stuff, and it smells so good. It smells like perfume, but anybody I will roll that on, they all just stop for a second. I mean, like, it's stunning. It smells so good. And it just can be something that is a tool to help you deal with your emotions in the moment. But we also want to talk about some of the good emotions. Like we talk about using joy, but we can actually have joy in our life. That's not the right one. That's the right one. We can have those good emotions too, and we can just play on those. But there is a technique called the aroma freedom technique, AFT, that it's pretty simple, and it's just the idea of allowing yourself to go to that maybe very negative emotion that comes from an experience. And if you can use oils to, like, if you go there in your mind, let yourself go there, to get the oil to help you release that emotion, but also to replace the emotion because of a positive scent, like you're replacing a negative experience and helping release it through a positive experience. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's just kind of the simplified version. But again, if you went through your blends in your virtual office and just started reading the names of some of the oils, you're going to be able to recognize we have tons, I don't even know how many, I would say hundreds maybe, of oils that have names that would have to do with a purpose, such as harmony, joy, believe, highest potential, help me out, valor, so forgiveness, release, inner child. Every time I used inner child, I literally would just start laughing. It literally made me giddy, and I didn't expect that. Was it release, Sophie, that you said that it would just make you cry? Or somebody was talking about every time they used release, they would just like bawl, and they weren't expecting that. So it's not like I've told myself I'm going to do something and the oil gets me there. It literally sometimes hits me out of the blue and I'm not expecting it. But when I used Harmony a minute ago, I just all I want to do is smile. It smells so good.
When I do yoga, if I put Valor on, everything I've been avoiding comes up. So if you want to force yourself to deal with things, that's a painful way to do it. But you know what? I recommend it.
Again, don't avoid the pain. Recognize it and deal with it. As women, we have a tendency to stuff things, meaning we have a tendency to think that we're not supposed to be feeling something, or we've just got to get over it. And so we just stuff it down. Well, all that's going to do is eventually it's like that suitcase that you've stuffed full and you've barely gotten it latched. As soon as you pop those open, guess what's going to happen? It's going to be like that balloon I showed you a minute ago flying through the air. So we need to deal with things. We all do hate. Oh, yeah, you're a 7. You hate pain. Avoid it at all costs. P-A-I-N, not P-A-Y-N-E.
I think using the oils, like some of these that are the protocols, I think I like using those because it makes you stop and take time for yourself. And especially I like to use them first thing in the morning. But because I always tend to rush around, but I think by using them, it makes you stop and think. You take care of yourself, and then it's a good way to start your day. And then again, use it at night, same thing. You carve that time out for you, no one else. Whatever room you're going to do and how you're going to set it, and you use them for whatever. I did the freedom release and freedom sleep protocol, and that was the best thing ever, and I'll do it again because it gave me time for myself and time to think. And two, I felt emotions because I do show emotion, but not a lot. And my husband came one day and I was crying because for whatever oil I put on, and it freaked him out. So, but I felt better afterwards because I got out whatever I was holding in, because I am one of those people that holds everything in because I feel like I have to be strong for everybody else. So.
There's a limit to that. And Hannah did, I think, was it yesterday, Hannah, that you did that post where you were saying self-care. When we say self-care, most of the time we're really thinking like a spa treatment. We're thinking about something that's temporary, that can be fun, and it can be a nice pampering thing. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's not truly self-care. Self-care is what we've been talking about here. Recognizing your physical needs, your spiritual needs, and your emotional needs, and supporting that. And our bodies are complex. That we don't have to make it too complicated, but I'm just saying they're just vast and interconnected. And so if we're taking the time, like Joyce is saying in the morning, or Hannah was saying, and taking that moment, and Donna was saying that she likes to take the time to sit and smell the oils and everything goes quiet. You can really, especially white angelica, you can really push it out to the next room and just take it. And it doesn't have to take a long time, but it can be so beneficial for your day, in the day or at any point in the day.
Yeah, Donna loves her emotional support oils. Like from the beginning, she's been taking stress away to work. She's a nurse. What's your favorite emotional support oil right now, Donna?
Like all of them. Probably still the stress away, honestly. Like I take that every day. I'm gonna have to order some more or something. But
hooked me on Envision and Lime. She told me about Envision and Lime. That's a good combo for your mood too, y'all.
Well, Lindsay has been from day one. Stress Away has been the one for her, and it's awesome to hear somebody, because we also have to recognize that sometimes when we use these, the first time may not deal with everything. It may be like a protocol that takes time. Most things in our bodies take 2 to 3 weeks before we really begin. That's the reason a lot of these protocols can be like 30 days, because it takes some time to get the full benefits of it.
I put Stress Away in my diffuser because this is my office where I'm sitting at for work. I'm still working remotely. I haven't gone back into the office yet. And when I start my diffuser with Stress Away, I know that means my work day is starting. And it goes the whole day. So obviously I have to refill it. And do it again. But a couple of times I've forgotten or gotten so busy, and my husband will say, "You're so cranky. I haven't seen your diffuser on." So I'm like, oh, that must be it.
Well, I saw that Marianne was saying that she was doing bergamot right now, and like as we speak, I think she put it earlier. And I did bergamot and something. I'm trying to remember what and I was just like standing at the diffuser, going, "Oh my gosh, this is like the best thing ever."
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try that one.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a really good one. I just wish I remember the combo I used the other day. Because a lot of times I'll see somebody post something, and I'll just go run and do it. And then if I don't save it, I forget about it.
Yeah, I always forget what I put in there.
It's sometimes I've got notes like everywhere, but well, we're about at the end of our time. Unless somebody has something in particular they want to ask about, you can always reach out to whoever you're most connected with in this group. And this recording will be made available also, so you can pass along to your friends as well, or go back and look at it yourself. So unless anybody has anything else, I guess we're going to say goodnight.
Thank you.
Good class.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.